Well, welcome back to another edition of 42nd Street Pete's Grindhouse Purgatory, and I changed my sweatshirt so there's no spaghetti stains on this one. I had the blue one on last time. I don't know, I'm going off what we usually chat about this episode because I was going through my CDs yesterday and was piling shit up and noticed that I have a shitload of oldies. And, I go way back with this stuff. I guess it was a Christmas present. Hold on, my dog's. Will you go away, please? Enough. I got a transistor radio as a Christmas present. I guess they were made in Japan at that point, and I probably was 12, 13 years old, and had no idea the value of this thing. All I know was, this cool little radio about, I don't know, yo big, yo wide. But the best thing about it is that it had an earplug. And late at night, when mom and dad weren't paying attention, I could stick that earplug in at any hour of the night whenever I woke up and listen to some, Elvis, doo-wop, whatever. I guess that was sort of like, early 60s, and then, you got into the Beatles, the Beach Boys, the surf music, all that stuff. So, it was just cool. Basically, you listen to this, and, there were DJs back then, and, they were personable. I mean, there was a guy named Harry Harrison. He was the morning mayor. Bob Shannon. Of course, Cousin Bruce Morrow. I'm playing to a New York crowd right now, I guess, because it's where I grew up. So those are the people I know. There was a thing. This came out. It was a CD, CBFM Oldies, because that's where these guys wound up after their initial run. It was Dan Daniels, Dandy Dan Daniels, Bill Brown, Bobby J, like I said before, and then you had Don K. Reed, Norman Knight. Again, Cousin Bruce Morrow, Dandy Dan Ingram, bunch of people. And, another thing that happened during that era was you had all the jukeboxes with the singles in them. And after these things made their run, I mean, some of them were played multiple times, some weren't played at all, they'd wind up in a 25-cent bin down at what we used to call the local 5 and 10, which was McCrory's, which would now be a dollar store, I guess. But, we called it was a 5 and dime back then. I'm really dating myself, what the fuck. But yeah, so, you'd leaf through these things and find all these, cool songs that you listened to on the radio, and then you took them home and you owned them, which led to album collecting and things like that. And as, my interest in music progressed, you're hitting the mid-'60s when all that change happened. There was different bands, different, things like Pink Floyd. Nobody ever heard of Pink Floyd. Frank Zappa, wasn't known yet, but the Mothers of Invention, I picked up that album of McCrory's. McCrory's carried other stuff, too. I just picked it up because I thought there was going to be some dirty lyrics on it, which there wasn't. I was confusing Frank Zappa and the Mothers of Invention with the Fugs, a New York City-based band, who had dirty lyrics. They had songs like Dirty Old Man and Slum Goddess from the Lower East Side and all kinds of crazy stuff. But, I was listening to all these things and discovering, bands like the Grateful Dead, Santana, oh God, there were so many of them, Jethro Tull, one-shot bands, Country Joe and the Fish, Clear Light, Earth Opera, bands like that. And they got airplay late at night. I don't remember, it might have been NEW at the time. Vince Scelsa was one of the DJs. Allison Steele, the Nightbird, who unfortunately passed away at an early age. She was the voice at night. Allison Steele, the Nightbird. She had a great voice. Zachary, our beloved Zachary, was in on this as a DJ. God, there was just so much going on back then. It was such a just a great time to discover all this shit. And concerts weren't these fucking mega shows like they are now. I mean, you could go to Woolman Rink in Central Park and for $3 see some great bands, and if they sold out, you could hang outside and listen to some great bands. And that's what we did. We listened to the Pretenders and the Sir Douglas Quintet one night. Other bands. I mean, I went to the Fillmore East on a Wednesday night and saw Pink Floyd perform their entire album, Uma Guma. Frank Zappa and the Mothers of Invention returned for a Mother's Day concert there. So, you know, I got to see a lot of cool... Well, another thing, too, was, I don't know, anybody remember John Shear? He was the big promoter in Jersey, in New York area. Well, he was partners with a guy named Al Hayward for a while, and I was going out with his niece. So I got to see the Byrds, Canned Heat, Mountain, Black Sabbath, and a bunch of other shows for nothing. But they were at colleges like Seton Hall and, you know, gymnasiums and auditoriums and stuff like that. None of this mega show shit. And, you know, I saw a bunch of that for a while. And then I decided that she was too much of a pain in the ass, even though there was free shows to go to that to hang around with. So we broke up, and then you know, then it was like you just go to venues that weren't like mega venues. Like I said, the Fillmore East, the Capitol Theater in Passaic, the Palladium in New York. You know, it was just cool. And you know, another thing was, you know, spending hours in record stores just browsing through the bins looking for something you know might have missed or somebody told you about. You know, used albums and stuff. So, you know, like I said, I was going through my shit the other day, and you know, I don't have a lot of CDs. I don't know why, but just lately I've been putting stuff in as I'm reading and play in the background and shit. And I really miss some of the stuff. I don't really latch on to, you know, newer stuff, obviously, because I'm an old fucking fart set in my ways. But, you know, from where I came from, it was the beginning of all this shit, because, you know, 50s was Elvis and 60s were the Beatles, and then the psychedelic explosion in the middle of everything. It was just, you know, so fucking cool. I actually got to see the Four Seasons live one time, which, you know, it was a doo-wop type of thing like that, but hey, we all threw on leather jackets and went out and saw the Four Seasons. I think it was a reunion tour going back, I think I saw it at Morris County College. Weirdly, one of the original members of the Four Seasons lived right behind me. I think he got kicked out. His daughter went to high school with me. But he wasn't with the band anymore when I moved there. Somebody else replaced him. Can't remember his name, though. Probably shouldn't say, because I might, who the hell knows. But anyway, you know, like I said, it was just cool. And, you know, you never had to sit in nosebleed seats or, like, watch little ants on the fucking ground like you do now, because, you know, concerts in stadiums and shit are just fucking cash grabs, and the fucking price of this shit. I remember seeing Jethro Tull having something to do with MTV, but they didn't really advertise it. It was the Capitol Theater in Passaic, and I grabbed, like, you know, dead row center, really good fucking seats. You know, places like that. I'm trying to think who else I saw at the Capitol. Patti Smith, Joan Jett and the Blackhearts, the B-52s, Pat Benatar, and the Palladium, Todd Rundgren and Utopia. Zappa was usually playing the Palladium every Halloween. You know, whenever Frank was in New York, I tried to go see Frank, and usually it was Halloween. That was his big thing. I saw Devo at Radio City Hall the night before Halloween. Then I saw Frank at the Palladium on Halloween. That was probably my best Halloween, you know, concert weekend. You know, it's just, you know, when you look back and saw how simple this was, and there was never any real fucking problems and things like that, you know, and, you know, Woodstock, and there was never any real problems up there in '69, and, you know, you look at today, and sadly all you got is fucking problems. You know, I'm just glad I lived and grew up in the time I did. I mean, there was things that were fucked up then, too, but you never had to worry about anybody walking into a fucking school with an automatic weapon and wiping out a fucking class, or flying a fucking airplane into buildings, or fucking not being able to go outside because people refuse to take precautions during a pandemic. It's pretty fucked up. So if I, you know, if I wax nostalgic, that's what I'm doing right now, because that was a big part of me growing up, and also a big part of, you know, my, you know, for lack of better words, my grindhouse culture. Because when, you know, I guess it was in the 80s, you couldn't walk into a fucking bar, black or white, without Donna Summer blaring on the jukebox. It was just things like that. And like I said, it was a better time. So, You know, like I said, I've been revisiting this thing through music and movies, and you know, people might say that, you know, you're sort of stuck in time. Maybe it's for the best, because I really don't like what's going on today, and I know a lot of people have pulled away from me because I failed to embrace this fucking gadget culture. Like I said, dude, I'm, you know, whatever. I'm real. I don't give a fuck what anybody says, does. You know, whatever anybody's opinion is of me, it's their own opinion. You know, you want to know me, you know, a lot of people know me, but I speak from the heart about this stuff because I truly miss it. I truly miss the people that, you know, created it and that were involved in it, and I especially miss the people that I hung out with that are no longer here when I was enjoying all this shit. So before I go too maudlin, you know, it was a good little episode, but please stay safe. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll have more for you down the road. So we'll see you on the flip side. I'm out of here.